That's going to be fouled back into the area behind home plates. Again, a lot of no meatballs down the middle so far here from Evan Elliott.
Well, there's one thing that he can do really well. It's not only hit some high numbers on the radar gun, but he can locate his pitches really well. Obviously, Tyler Duncan just a better swing in the first at bat, and ever since then, a couple tough bounces that haven't gone the Panthers' way. The one off the glove of Fuji, the ball that goes off the mound into center field to cash in another run. I think the Panthers have a lot of confidence in Evan Elliott, and rightly so.
You talked with Pete Kiefer before the game. What did you learn from him and just the approach going into tonight's ball game?
Well, talking a lot about Evan and his second year with the team and just how much growth he had in the offseason. He said he wasn't hanging around here and spent a lot of time in Florida working on his game, and really happy with how he came out to start the season. And you can see it in the numbers alone and the number of pitches that they allow him to throw. He didn't have to get worked up like lots of these other pitchers do, where he might only be able to throw 60. Now, Evan was able to hit the ground running right from the start, and that does a lot for you, especially last week when you're playing 4 games in 4 days, and he can go up and eat 6 innings against Chatham-Kent and just take the load off the bullpen. Let's see if he can dial it in here in the later stages of this one.
Here comes the 1-2. The runner's going to go. That one's going to be fouled back, and Brown's got to go back to first. 25 years of age, Evan Elliott. You mentioned that 6-inning performance against Chatham-Kent. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks in that performance. That ERA start curve down a little bit more to a more favorable number. He'll try again. The 1-2 in for strike 3. It paints the inside edge, and Evan Elliott gets out of it. But the Hamilton Cardinals put 2 on the board, including a home run from Tyler Duncan. It is 2-0 visitors, and we'll see Mateo Zeppieri, Pete Kiefer, and Malik Williams come up here from the Kitchener Panthers in the bottom half of the inning. But Ian, when you take a look at that first inning, again, you give up the homer to Tyler Duncan. You don't love what you saw in that first inning in particular, but the fact of the matter is you get out of it only giving up 2.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is a Panthers team that's very talented offensively and is more than capable of making that up. You mentioned the first couple batters, the home run to Duncan. Darlin Herman gets on that weird play up the third baseline to Fuji, a play that you got to assume he makes 90 times out of 100. And then Anderson Feliz gets walked, a rare free pass from Evan Elliott. He's usually got very good control and doesn't walk a lot of hitters, but then he gets the double play ball, the pitcher's best friend. That RBI single that takes a hop off the mound, where if that had stuck low to the ground the whole time, I think there's probably a good chance Petey Kiefer gets to that ball and makes a play to end the inning. And then, a great pitch sequence to Angel Guerrero, really pounding the outside of the zone, and then ends up coming to the inner half of the plate for a guy that loves to crowd the plate. So Evan Elliott, good way to settle in after a tough first 3 hitters of the ball game, but wouldn't surprise me at all to see him settle in as the game goes along and give the Panthers a chance to come out with a win.
Well, the starting pitcher tonight, Owen Boone. We know what he did here last time. July 10th of last year, a no-no. The first time this league has seen a 9-inning no-hitter since 1977. Jesse Orozco doing that before he went to the New York Mets organization. And I'm imagining, is Pete Kiefer, what's Pete Kiefer thinking about this tonight with Owen Boone? It feels like, yes, there was history last year, but you do have to leave that history in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's leaving that game in the past and probably focusing on their most recent outing, the Cardinals home opener a couple weeks ago, when the Panthers got to Owen Boone, fell behind 2-0 early, kind of like they are tonight, ended up rallying to win that game and pick up their first win on the season.
This is Mateo Zeppieri, the left fielder. That'll miss inside. And, the thing is with Owen Boone as well was he can be known for strikeouts, but I think back to that no hitter, he didn't really K too many guys. He is more and more I've been seeing lately as that's going to paint upstairs. Kind of a guy that's going to allow the ball to get into play and let the defense do the work.
Yeah, and his last start against Brantford is a great example of that. Did pitch 6 innings in that one and throw 65 pitches. He only had 2 swing and miss the entire game, but still threw 6 shutout innings. That speaks to the way that he can attack a hitter. Whether it's relying on his field, inducing soft contact, getting a lot of strikes looking. One thing is the pace that he pitches at. We talk a lot about the pitch clock coming into this league. For him, it might be a matter of if the pitch clock gets here, it's going to be, well, how much time is on the clock when he starts his delivery because he works fast. So if I'm Kiefer before the game talking to the team, I'm telling them to be ready because this guy is ready to rear up and throw at any moment.
Full count here on Zeppieri. Swing and a miss for strike 3. And that's the first K of the ball game for Matteo Zeppieri.
The shortstop, number 17.
Exactly what you like to see if you are the Hamilton Cardinals. Owen Boone getting it started with a swing and strikeout and looking to continue to attack the heart of this Panthers order.
And Zeppieri and Kiefer at the top, had great starts to this season. Kiefer obviously had a multi-home run game earlier in the year. Still, overall, you can consider him one of the top 5 hottest hitters on the team, but a little bit of a slowdown recently. Some other guys in the lineup have picked things up right after them. Malik Williams, Isfani Penalve, Rafi Gross have, been swinging very hot bats as of late, but it's about getting that consistency. If you can really get that 1 through 5 clicking the way that we know they can perform, it's going to be a very dangerous lineup to face.
What do you think's going through Owen Boone's mind coming into this ballpark for the first time since doing what he did?
I mean, if you ask him, I'm sure he wants to put it all behind him, but there's no doubt about it when he stepped out on that mound today. He probably felt a little bit of emotions knowing what happened the last time he was here, not just how historic it was, but also for him personally to have an accomplishment like that in an MVP season. There's no doubt about it that it's on his mind, but this is a different Panthers team and a different Owen Boone as well.
Here comes the 1-2. That's going to be fouled back into the screen. Zeppieri, Kiefer, Malik Williams on deck here for the Panthers. Again, just speaking of trying to put things behind you, the Kitchener Panthers, as mentioned, last game was Sunday against these guys, but previous to that, as that's going to go into left field, it's got some distance. It's going to go all the way back to the wall. Guerrero will throw it in, and that's going to be a slide-in double for Petey Kiefer. Well, there goes the no-hitter.
And Petey Kiefer has just kind of been a doubles machine this year. Has done a great job finding those gaps. Looked like he was, not exactly up to par with Owen Boone to start that at bat. A bad-looking swing. It looked like Boone was in full control, but great piece of hitting from Kiefer, and it looked like Angel Guerrero was just caught a little bit flat-footed out there in left field. Might have had a play on the ball, but by the time he made his initial read, the ball was already over his head and good enough for a double.
Well, as I was rudely interrupted by Petey Kiefer hitting that double, wanted to mention the Panthers previous to that game on Sunday ended up coming out with a 10-8 win over Guelph. And you think about the season that they've had, very much the comeback kids that we have seen all season long, despite the fact that they have a relatively veteran lineup for the most part. Just known for, they'll fall behind early, but they don't let it get to them that much.
I mean, looking at the league overall, 1 through 9, after a couple of weeks, thought we kind of start to get an idea of who were going to be the premier teams in the league, who were going to be the playoff teams, and who are going to be the teams that will be fighting for a playoff spot. Well, the Royals, as you mentioned, have certainly turned things around ever since that 0-5 start. And just kind of adding into that shuffle even more of, who's going to get in, especially a different playoff format this year, only 5 teams. It's going to be extra tough to get into the dance.
The 1-1 is going to be fouled back. Be interesting to see the movement at second base. If you didn't watch the game in Guelph on Tuesday, the Royals successfully pulling off the hidden ball trick on the Hamilton Cardinals. I don't know if the Hamilton Cardinals are going to try that tonight on Kitchener or vice versa, but I would imagine that they have that in mind as that's going to go inside for a strike.
They might have to wait till the bullpen gets in the game
Yeah.
because with the pace that Owen Boone operates, I don't think he wants to mess around with any of the
No.
bats.
But I mean, keeping an extra eye on second base is, I think, what I'm trying to get at here.
Absolutely.
Here comes the 1-2. Down into the dirt. Now, I'd imagine that Owen Boone, really liking giving up the double, but I would imagine, in some sense, it's kind of a sigh of relief. Hey, you know what? I am human after all. Let's just get out there and play some baseball. 2 balls, 2 strikes here on Malik. And that's going to miss outside.
Anytime the hidden ball trick is pulled off, though, especially specifically in your league, I think it kind of serves as a wake-up call to teams. It's one of those things, as soon as it happens recently, then it's on the front of everybody's mind, and you're extra careful about it.
Yep. Malik, the first baseman. That's going to miss. Ball 4. Malik will take the base. And there's runners on first and second with just the 1 out.
Great at that time from Malik Williams, really making Owen Boone work, fouling off a couple pitches and eventually working himself to first base. Not easy to do against a pitcher like Owen Boone, who's so consistent, always around the strike zone, doesn't walk a ton of hitters.
Well, this will bring up Yasvani Penalve. Malik Williams, by the way, leading the team with a 4.55 average. Just his second walk of the season. Penalve takes the pitch downstairs under the knees for ball 1. And it looks like we're going to have a meeting of the minds on the mound.
Not too often that you see Owen Boone getting a mound visit in the first inning, but as soon as he got that 2-run support to start this frame and the strikeout to Zeppieri, the Panthers have strung together 2 good at-bats. P.D. Kiefer making him throw a lot of pitches before hitting that double. Malik Williams drawing the full count walk. Even if the Panthers don't score here, I mean, priority number 1 is obviously to get on the board. But if you're making an ace like this throw a lot of pitches, that can be a small victory in its own.
Well, it was an urgent enough meeting to have a mound visit and have the entire infield come in and have the conversation. So Luis Bernardo, the field manager, not really feeling too easy about what the situation is bringing here.
Yeah, I was wondering if we maybe see, the infield shift around, but no, the corners are still playing normal depth, and the middle infielders are looking for a double play.
That one down the line, foul. And that's a good thing to have in terms of, having Luis Bernardo as the field manager, a guy that's spent a number of years in this league as a catcher. So it's almost in a sense that he has gone to the mound a number of different times to talk about these kind of situations. So having a field manager with that kind of expertise is definitely good to have if you're Hamilton. 1 ball, 1 strike here on Penalve. Puts that high. And it's playable in right field. Dominguez makes the catch. Nobody advances. Good throw back into the infield. And there's 2 down here in the first. And that'll bring it Rafi Gross. And you mentioned it off the top, partner. The hot streak that Rafi has been on as of late. This is a good bat to have in this situation.
Yeah, his power numbers have really stood out early in the year. Already has 3 home runs, despite only playing in 7 of the Panthers' 9 games. He had a triple as well against Guelph. That OPS up over 1,100. Not exactly a contact hitter, but this is the kind of situation you want with 2 outs in an inning and 2 guys on. This is where Rafi Gross has flexed his muscles early in the season.
Should mention Chris Wilhelm is calling the balls and strikes behind home plate as the crew chief for this umpire crew. The 1-1 is going to be fouled back. Hayden Moore is over at first base. Matt Neely is over at third. Hamilton Kitchener. Playoffs started today. They would be meeting in that sudden death 4v5 matchup. That one misses upstairs.
And if that matchup did happen today, it wouldn't surprise me if it's the same starting pitchers going for both teams.
Well, if it's a best of 5, Owen Boone's going 5 out of the 5 games, like he did a few years ago for London. No, I think there's a little bit more pitching depth here for the Cardinals. Here's the 2-2. That's just going to miss on the outside.
I mean, absolutely. Look no farther than Sunday and what Francis Adamas did. And he's done that in back-to-back starts now. It's just been phenomenal to start the season. You got those two at the top of the rotation along with Jan coming in the offseason. They are set up for a ton of success on the mound in Hamilton.
Swing and a miss for strike 2. Hamilton, by the way, as a team, as a pitching staff, their ERA sitting at 3.38. That is third in the CBL. Barrie and Welland, surprise, surprise, the two teams ahead of them. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners will be off. Yeah, that's going to miss downstairs to load the bases.
Really good take from Rafi Gross after Owen Boone elevates that fastball 3-1 count, one that can be really frustrating for Gross, knowing that he just swung at ball 4 that would have loaded bases, especially when he's going with that fastball upstairs, pitch that Gross loves to go. He's a great high fastball hitter. Wade misses at that one, and then when he changed the eye level, it can be tough to lay off at times, but really good take and does his job loading the bases.
Well, this is where we usually see the Panthers start to strike, which has been a lot different than what we have seen in the last couple of years, where they've ended up in these situations and they've come up with nothing across. But feels like with 2 out, that's going to be sent to play. With 2 out and the bases loaded, it feels like there's something different in the air here in 2026, where the Panthers are almost expected to at least put one across in a situation like this.
Absolutely, and I think it just comes to show with the change that they've made in the offseason, how much this lineup has changed. I mean, looking 1 through 9, have confidence in a lot of these guys in this order, and some of them were midseason acquisitions last year. Zepieri and Kiefer that have done great. Both the Williams brothers hitting the starts here today, and then some returning players in Yosvani Palve and Junior Ibarra that have really shown what they can do at the start of the season and shown their full potential that I think a lot of people didn't get to see last year.